The puck slammed into the boards like a gunshot, echoing through the empty arena as if the whole damn city of Chicago had just held its breath. I froze mid-stride on the ice, my stick still raised, heart pounding not from the drill but from the raw terror in the kid's eyes. Wide, unblinking, like he'd just seen his entire world shatter right there under the fluorescent lights. "Coach!" he gasped, voice cracking like thin ice. "That's my dad, or what's left of him." Pointing to the crumpled newspaper photo on the bench, the headline screaming about a ghost from my past who'd haunted me for 15 years. I dropped my gloves that night without a second thought, watching them skid across the frost-kissed concrete of the United Center's underbelly. Because in that split second, as the wind howled off Lake Michigan and clawed through the chain-link fence, I saw not just a shivering kid in threadbare sweats, but a mirror of every regret I'd buried under layers of scar tissue and second chances. His teeth chattered like loose blades on bad ice, lips blue from the bite of a brutal December gale, and those eyes, God, those eyes, pleading for something I hadn't given anyone since the accident that stole my fire and left me coaching peewees in the shadows of glory. It was supposed to be just another outreach night, one of those feel-good charity gigs where washed-up pros like me hand out helmets and hope to kids who dream bigger than their zip codes allow. The Chicago Youth Hockey League had dragged me out of my one-bedroom cave in Wrigleyville, promising 1 hour, max. But an hour in this city during a lake-effect blizzard feels like eternity. I'd shown up late, nursing a black coffee from the corner bodega, my old Blackhawks jersey hanging loose on shoulders that hadn't carried a cup since '09. The lot was a ghost town. Parents long gone, volunteers packing up under tarps that whipped like flags in surrender. That's when I spotted him. Huddled against the equipment shed, knees drawn up, breath fogging the air in desperate puffs. No coat, just a hoodie 2 sizes too big, sleeves frayed at the cuffs like it had been through a war. His sneakers, hell, they were more hole than shoe, left muddy prints in the slush, and he was clutching a battered stick like it was the last lifeline on a sinking ship. I figured runaway or worse, one of those street kids the social workers whisper about over lukewarm beer at alumni mixers. "Hey, kid," I called, my voice gravel from disuse. "You lost or just auditioning for Frosty the Snowman?" He jerked up, eyes darting like a cornered fox. But there was no snarl, just this quiet defiance that hit me square in the gut. "Practicing," he muttered, teeth still clacking. "Coach said if I put in extra, maybe next tryouts." His words trailed off as a gust ripped through, and he wrapped his arms tighter, shivering so hard the stick slipped from his grip and clattered to the ground. I should have walked away, league rules, liability, all that bullshit, but something in his stance, the way he squared those narrow shoulders against the storm, pulled me in. Reminded me of me at 18, back in the cornfields of Iowa, sneaking onto frozen ponds with hand-me-down gear that smelled like mothballs and broken promises. "Practicing in this?" I snorted, but I was already shrugging off my parka, the wool still warm from the truck's heater. "Here, take it, and the spares in my bag, skates, pads, the works. Can't have you turning into an icicle before you even lace up." His fingers trembled as he took the bundle, unwrapping it like it was Christmas in July. Inside, my old Bauer set, scuffed but solid, the kind that had seen overtime thrillers and locker room brawls. "You serious?" he whispered, voice thick, like he hadn't heard kindness in months. Up close, he was younger than I'd thought, maybe 19, 20 tops, with that lean build of someone who'd grown up fast but not hard. Sandy hair matted from the wet, a faint scar hooking under his left eye like a question mark. "Why?" "Because I've been you," I said simply, zipping my hoodie against the chill that suddenly felt deeper. "Name's Alex, Coach Harlan to the ankle biters. What's yours?" "Ethan," he replied, slipping into the parka like it was armor. It swallowed him whole, but damn if he didn't look ready to conquer the world. "Ethan Reyes. Thanks, man. This means everything." Reyes. The name didn't hit me then, not with the snow blinding us and the distant honk of cabs on Michigan Avenue. We talked for what felt like minutes but stretched into an hour, him scarfing down a protein bar from my glove compartment, me leaning on the fence, spinning yarns about my glory days with the Hawks. Turns out he was crashing at a group home in Pilsen, scraping by on odd jobs and dreams of making the junior league. No folks in the picture, he said vaguely. Just some ghost stories I don't tell. I nodded, recognizing the dodge. I'd perfected it after the crash. By the time I dropped him at the home, volunteering to drive so he didn't freeze on the L, the storm had eased to flurries, and the city lights smeared gold across the windshield like fresh Zamboni trails. Tryouts next month, I reminded him, handing over my card. Show up in that gear. We'll see what you've got. He grinned then, a real one, lighting up the cab like the marquee at the United Center. Deal, coach. You're all right, Alex Harlan. That night, alone in my apartment with the radiator hissing like an old grudge, I couldn't shake him. Ethan Reyes. I Googled it on a whim, the glow of my laptop cutting through the dark. At first, nothing, just mugshots and missing persons that twisted my stomach. Then, buried in a 10 archive from the Tribune. Tragedy on I-90. Hawks legend Marco Reyes lost in fiery crash. My coffee went cold. Marco Reyes, the enforcer who'd body-checked me into early retirement, the guy whose blindside hit ended my cup run and left me piecing together a life from coaching clinics and bar tabs. Marco's son. The kid I'd just outfitted like a prodigal was the blood of the man who'd shattered mine. I slammed the laptop shut, pulse thundering like a face-off siren. Betrayal? No, that was too clean a word for the storm raging in my chest. Anger, pity, a twisted pull of what-ifs that had no business in a heart I'd long ago iced over. Marco and I weren't just rivals. We'd been rookies together, bleeding on the same bench, sharing smokes in the haze of victory laps. Until that night in '09, when jealousy over a scout's whisper turned elbows sharp and lives upside down. The crash took him 3 months later. DUI, they said, fleeing some off-ice scandal that tabloids chewed like gristle. His wife bailed with the kid, vanishing into the ether. Or so I'd thought. Ethan didn't know. Or did he? The way he'd clutched that newspaper earlier, eyes glassy. Christ, what if he did? What if this was some cosmic joke? The universe tossing Marco's ghost back at me in the form of a boy who looked nothing like him but carried the same fire in his veins. Sleep dodged me like a bad power play, and by dawn, I'd convinced myself it was coincidence. Reyes was a common name, Chicago full of them. But I texted the league anyway. New kid, Ethan R. Tryouts. Gear him up. No reply, but I didn't care. I'd see it through, donate the damn gear, and walk away clean. That's what I told myself as I laced up for morning skate, the ice groaning under my weight like it knew better. Weeks blurred into a rhythm I hadn't felt since the pros. Drills at dawn. Ethan showing up every session in my old pads, gliding like he'd been born on blades. He was raw, sloppy cross-checks, hesitations in the slot, but there was magic in his wrist shot, a snap that echoed Marco's prime. We fell into it easy, post-practice chats over vending machine sodas, him opening up in fragments. The group home's endless rules, the ache of birthdays alone, how hockey was the one thing that drowned out the silence. I shared scraps too. The crash that bent my spine, the bottle I chased it with, the slow crawl back to coaching as penance. It was innocent at first, a mentor thing, but Chicago winters forge bonds in the cold, and by January, when the league indoor rink thawed enough for pickup games, I caught myself lingering after the whistle, watching him peel off the gear, sweat tracing lines down his neck like secrets begging to be read. You're holding back. I'd bark during one-on-ones, circling him like prey, but my voice softened at the edges, laced with something warmer than critique. One night, after a brutal loss to the suburb squad, Ethan's first real heartbreak on the scoresheet, we ended up at my place. Just for pizza, I said, but the snow piled high, trapping us with a six-pack and a Blackhawks rerun. He sprawled on my couch, legs kicked up, that parka draped over the arm like a flag of truce. You ever miss it? He asked, eyes on the screen where my younger self body-slammed a Bruin. The lights, the roar? Every damn day, I admitted, passing him a slice. Our fingers brushed, and the room shrank, the TV's glow painting his face in flickering gold. He didn't pull away, just held my gaze, that scar under his eye catching the light like an invitation. But you, kid, you're built for it. Better than I ever was. He laughed, soft and disbelieving. Liar. You're Alex Harlan, the guy who almost brought the cup home solo. Then quieter, Thanks for seeing me, coach. No one's ever. The air thickened, charged like the moment before a breakaway. I leaned in. God help me, I did. Close enough to smell the rink on him, salt and pine. His breath hitched, lips parting. And for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to that space between us, electric and unspoken. But I pulled back, clearing my throat. Get some rest, Reyes. Big scrimmage tomorrow. He nodded, cheeks flushed, and crashed on the couch anyway when the plows stalled. I lay awake in the next room, staring at the ceiling cracks like fault lines in my resolve. This wasn't just mentoring. It was a line I'd towed since college, back when locker room glances lingered too long, and I'd buried it under bravado and booze. Gay in the NHL? Back then, it was a career ender, whispered like a curse. Now, in 2025, with Pride Nights and ally captains, it was different. But not for guys like me, scarred and skeptical coaching ghosts. By February, Ethan had cracked the roster, his name on the board next to the vets, and our secret rhythm deepened. Stolen coffees at the Bean, where he'd sketch plays on napkins while I pretended not to notice how his knee pressed mine under the table. Late-night texts about nothing. Memes of bad refs, playlists of Springsteen that made him homesick for a home he'd never known. He never mentioned Marco, and I never pried, but the newspaper photo stayed folded in my glove box, a talisman or a time bomb. The bomb dropped mid-March at the regional qualifiers in Rosemont. We'd clawed to overtime, Ethan feeding me the puck for a game winner that sent the bench erupting. In the chaos, hugs, Gatorade showers, he grabbed my arm, pulling me aside in the tunnel. Alex, I need to tell you something. His voice trembled, not from the win, but something heavier. He thrust a manila envelope at me, yellowed at the edges. Found this in storage at the home. It's about my dad. I took it, stomach dropping like a bad bounce. Inside, clippings, photos, a birth certificate with Marco Reyes, scrawled in faded ink, and a letter, handwritten, dated '09. Son, if you're reading this, I screwed up, but you're the best hit I ever took. Find Harlan, he owes me one. Make him see the ice isn't all scars. The tunnel spun. Ethan, I rasped. How long have you known? Since the first night. The gear. Your name on the tag. I Googled. Tears welled, but he blinked them back. Fierce. I didn't come for handouts or revenge. I came because he wrote about you in his journal, said you were the brother he lost, the one who'd get it, that you'd teach me to skate through the pain. Betrayal knifed deep. Not his, but Marco's ghost, dredging up the hit that wasn't just physical. That night, jealousy-fueled, Marco had checked me into the glass, whispering "Scout's mine," as my world blurred red. I'd pressed charges, aired the dirt. He spiraled, crashed. I'd carried the guilt like a penalty box sentence. But hearing it from Ethan's lips cracked me open. You think I owe him? I snarled, envelope crumpling in my fist. He took everything, my knee, my shot, I stopped, the words, my heart too raw, too close to the truth I'd glimpsed in those coffee shop glances. Ethan stepped closer, undaunted, his hand on my chest where the pads couldn't hide the thud. No. I think you owe yourself, and maybe, us. His voice broke, eyes searching mine with a vulnerability that mirrored my own buried ache. I've fallen for you, Alex. Hard. Not the coach, the man who saw me freezing and didn't look away. The confession hung, a puck in midair, and I shattered. I kissed him then, fierce and forgiving, the tunnel's echo swallowing our gasps as his arms wrapped around me, warm and real. It wasn't fireworks. It was a slow thaw, lips tentative at first, then urgent, tasting of sweat and salt and 15 years of what-ifs. We broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed, the world outside roaring its approval without knowing. But glory's fleeting in this game. Word leaked. A nosy ref spotting us in the lot, whispers turning to texts, then a Tribune blurb. Hawks alum Harlan in locker room drama? The league circled like sharks, sponsors balked, and Ethan's home counselor pulled him for influence. He fought it, showing up defiant, but the pressure mounted. Calls from old teammates. You gone soft, Harlan? And worse, Ethan's own doubts. Am I just the ghost you hate fucking? The climax hit at the state finals. April rain turning the outdoor rink to slush. We were up 3-2 seconds left, Ethan breaking away on a shorthanded rush. I watched from the bench, heart in my throat, as he deked the D and fired. Top shelf, glove side. The net bulged, the buzzer wailed. But as he wheeled to celebrate, his skate caught a rut. He went down hard, leg twisting at an angle that ripped a scream from my soul. The arena blurred to white noise. I vaulted the boards, dropping beside him on the muck, hands hovering useless. Ethan talked to me. His face was ashen, pain etching lines too deep for 20. It's bad, coach, he gasped, gripping my hand like a vice. But we won. And you're here. Paramedics swarmed, stretcher and sirens. But in that mud-slick moment, with rain sheeting down and the crowd a distant hum, he whispered, "Don't let go. Not of me. Not of this." I didn't. In the ER's harsh fluorescence, waiting for the ortho verdict, torn ACL, out for the season. I held his hand through the morphine haze, confessing it all. The hate for Marco that masked love, the fear of us that masked hope. "You're not him," I said, thumb tracing his knuckles. "You're better. You're mine." He smiled, weak but true. "Then fight for it. For us." The betrayal? It wasn't Ethan's or even Marco's. It was mine, to the boy I'd almost left shivering in the snow. We rehabbed together that summer, me pushing his chair through Lincoln Park paths, him needling me about my limp. The league cleared us after the storm. Pride Month headlines spun it positive. And by fall, Ethan was back on the ice, junior squad bound, with me in the stands, not the box. It's not a cup. It's quieter. Human. We build a life in the cracks. Dinners at Pequod's, lazy Sundays with the Trib Sports page, his head on my chest as Springsteen croons about the river. Marco's letter sits framed on the mantel. Not a bomb, but a bridge. Some nights, Ethan traces my scars, and I his, whispering apologies to ghosts we've both outskated. Chicago's a city of hard hits and heart, and in the end, that's what we chose. Not glory, but grace. Together. The off-season dragged like a penalty kill in double OT. Each day a grind of physical therapy sessions and the kind of quiet that amplifies every unspoken fear. Ethan's knee was a battlefield, swollen and stubborn. The surgeon's knife leaving a zipper of stitches that he hid under baggy sweats like a shameful secret. I'd wheel him to the rehab center off Addison. The chairs squeak a metronome to our new normal, and sit there flipping through dog-eared copies of the hockey news while he grunted through leg presses, sweat beading on his forehead like morning dew on the glass. "You're staring," he'd mutter between reps, that half-grin cracking through the pain, the one that always disarmed me. "Am not. Just calculating how many deep dish slices it'll take to get you back on the ice." But I was staring, all right, at the way his jaw clenched in determination, the fire in his eyes that Marco's blood had forged but only Ethan could wield. It scared me, how deep he'd burrowed in those few months. One wrong twist, one league busybody with a grudge, and poof, gone. Like my career, like the kid I'd almost left in the snow. We didn't talk about the kiss in the tunnel much at first. It hovered, this fragile thing, wrapped in stolen glances and accidental touches that lingered too long. But one humid July evening, after a breakthrough where he stood unassisted for the first time, we cracked beers on my balcony overlooking the L tracks. The L rumbled by, cars clacking like applause, and the city sprawled below us, a neon quilt of grit and grace. "Alex," he started, voice low against the traffic hum. "That night, was it pity or real?" I set my bottle down, the condensation slick on my palm. Real as the cup I never lifted. Scared the hell out of me, though. Still does. Honesty tasted like ash, but he deserved it, the full Harlan package, warts and all. Back in the day, I buried this part of me. Teammates slapping asses in the showers, it was joke or jail. Marco knew. Hell, he covered for me once in juniors, after a bar fight with some frat boy who got too handsy. Said, "Harlan's got your back, boys." But when things soured, I trailed off, the hit replaying in my mind. Glass shattering, lights exploding, Marco's snarl twisting into regret too late. Ethan leaned forward, his good leg brushing mine. Deliberate. He wasn't a monster. Journals full of it, how he idolized you, envied you. The crash? It was after Mom left, after the scouts bailed. He drank to forget he broke his best friend. The words landed like a body check, soft but bruising. I'd built Marco into the villain of my origin story, the brute who stole my shot at immortality. But Ethan painted him human. Flawed, loving in his rough way, a dad who'd scribbled bedtime stories in margins of playbooks. Why tell me now? I asked, throat tight. Because we're building something here. Can't on lies. He took my hand, calluses rough from grips and games, and pulled me close. Our lips met slow, exploratory, the kiss tasting of hops and heat and the promise of tomorrows. No tunnel echoes, no prying eyes. Just us, tangled on a wicker chair as fireflies blinked lazy approval from the alley. From there, it bloomed tentative, romantic in the small ways that stick. Me cooking eggs at dawn while he sketched roster dreams on my fridge whiteboard, our laughter mingling with the sizzle. Walks along the lakefront, his arm looped in mine under the guise of support. Whispers about futures where he hoists a cup and I coach from the box. Gray at the temples but grinning like a fool. We kept it quiet. Texts coded as drill vids. Pickups at separate lots. But in my apartment, with the blinds drawn against the world, it was ours. Passionate without the frenzy, his body fitting mine like a perfect pass. Lean muscle against my broader frame, breaths sinking like a power play rhythm. But conflicts the shadow to every spotlight, and ours crept in with the August heat wave. Ethan's counselor, a hawk-faced woman named Ms. Vargas, started sniffing around after the article. Inappropriate attachments. She called it in a voicemail that chilled me colder than any rink. Group home rules were ironclad. No overnights, no entanglements with adults. And with his 21st birthday looming, emancipation papers pending, one whiff of scandal could tank it all. Ethan brushed it off at first. She's just bitter about her ex. But I saw the strain. Cancelled sessions, late-night scrolls through legal aid sites, the way he'd flinch at my touch like it burned. Then came the betrayal, not from him, but the one I'd courted without realizing. My old agent, Tommy the Blade Russo, rang from his condo in Scottsdale, voice oily as ever. Heard you're playing house with Reyes Jr. Cute, but leagues watching L. One pick, one whisper, and your coaching cert's toast. Remember what happened to that goalie in 18? Career over for lifestyle choices. I hung up, fists balled, the apartment suddenly too small. Tommy wasn't wrong. The NHL had progressed. Out players like Foudy thriving. But youth leagues lagged, scandals sticking like gum to cleats. That night, Ethan sensed the storm, curling into me on the couch during a Cubs doubleheader. What's eating you? I confessed it all. The call, the fear, the ugly truth that loving him might cost him everything. I can't be the hit that benches you before you start. His eyes flashed, hurt sharpening to anger. So that's it? We freeze out because some suit says so? You're doing to me what Dad did to you. Running scared. He stood, wobbling on the crutches I'd hated seeing, and stormed the door, or tried to, the hinges creaking like my resolve. Ethan, wait! I chased him into the hall, the neighbor's TV droning through thin walls. No! He whirled, tears streaking. I gave you my truth, all of it. Journal, heart, the works. And you? You're still icing me out. The elevator dinged, swallowing him, and I slid down the wall, the betrayal bitter. Mine to him for letting ghosts dictate. Days stretched silent, texts unread, the apartment echoing with absence. I threw myself into clinics, barking orders at kids half his size. But every slapshot echoed his snap. Marco's letter mocked from the fridge. Make him see the ice isn't all scars. Irony, thy name is karma. Reconciliation came circuitous, via a wrong number call from Ms. Vargas. Mr. Harlan? Ethan's vanished, skipped intake, no forwarding. If you've seen. Panic clawed me. I bolted to the home, only to find him not vanished, but waiting in the lot, duffel at his feet, rain slicking his hair. Ran to you, he said simply as thunder grumbled. Figured if you didn't want this, better know now. I pulled him into the truck, wipers slashing the downpour. I want it. All of it. But we do it smart, emancipation first, then we go public on our terms. He nodded, relief flooding his face. And in the cab's glow, we kissed again, deeper, the storm outside paling to our own. Fall brought tryouts, Ethan's knee a miracle of grit. Cleared for contact, he dominated, earning a spot on the Chicago Steel Juniors. We celebrated quiet, at a dive bar in Andersonville, rainbow flags fluttering like blessings. Toasts to Marco, to us, the jukebox crooning Tom Petty. Even the losers get lucky sometimes. But luck's fickle and winter whispered warnings. October's chill bit early that year, frosting the lake like a bad omen, and with it came the real test. Ethan's first away series, a bus trek to Detroit where the wind off the straits could strip paint from steel. I drove him to the depot at dawn, the city still yawning under sodium lamps, Wrigley's marquee dark sentinel to our goodbye. 2 nights, he said, backpack slung, kissing me quick and fierce in the truck's cab. Brave, but his eyes betrayed the kid underneath, the one who'd shivered in the snow. Text me the scores, I replied, voice steady for us both. And don't let those wing nuts cheap shot you. He laughed, that sound like cracking dawn, and boarded, waving from the window as the Greyhound growled south. The apartment felt cavernous without him, echoes of our mornings. His coffee mug ring on the counter, the dent in the couch from lazy movie nights. I buried in work, scouting for the league, but solitude bred specters. Marco's grin in old footage, my own reflection in the mirror, lines etched deeper by doubt. Was this sustainable? A coach and his protege. Love laced with power, imbalances the tabloids would devour? Tommy's warning looped, a penalty siren in my skull. Then, day 2, my phone buzzed not with a score but a Detroit PD prefix. Coach Harlan? Ethan Reyes took a spill. Concussion protocol, nothing major, but he's asking for you. The world tilted. I was wheels up in an hour, red-eye to Motown, heart hammering like overtime. The hospital smelled of bleach and regret. Corridors a maze to his room where he lay pale against starched sheets, for dripping steady. Alex, he murmured, eyes glassy but locking on mine with that unyielding pull. Overreacted. Damn right. I sank into the chair, taking his hand, the monitors beeping our rhythm. What happened? Bad ice, worse D-man. Elbow to the dome. He winced, but grinned. Scored first, though. For you. We talked till nurses shooed me to a motel. Him recounting the game in hushed tones. Me spilling the fears I'd bottled. The age gap, the optics, the terror of losing him to this brutal ballet we both loved. It's not just the hits, I admitted, thumb circling his wrist. It's knowing one could take you from me. Then catch me, he whispered, pulling me down for a kiss that tasted of hospital mint and home. Soft, sustaining, the kind that mends more than bruises. He checked out next morning, benched for the rematch, and I stayed through it. Anonymous in the stands, cheering silent as the Steel eked a win. Bus back to Chi, we rode shotgun in a rental, hands linked over the console, Motown fading to cornfields under harvest moon. This is us, he said, squeezing. Hitting bumps, but together. November deepened the bond, Thanksgiving a makeshift affair. Turkey from Jewel, pie from the Polish bakery. Us in sweats toasting with cider on the fire escape. He called the home family. But his voice caught. Vargas had fast-tracked emancipation. Papers signed by his birthday, but the ache lingered. Miss the chaos sometimes, he confessed, head on my shoulder as fireworks popped distant for some wedding. But this is real. Real hit harder when the Tribune circled back. A follow-up piece digging into our mentorship. Anonymous sources. Tommy, no doubt, hinted at favoritism. Ethan's rapid rise and nepotism nod to Marco's legacy. Comments sections erupted. Slurs from trolls, support from allies, but the noise drowned reason. League brass summoned me to a closed door in the United Center's bowels. Suits droning about optics and investigations. You're clear, the director said finally, but his eyes said otherwise. For now, keep it professional, Harlan. Ethan took it stoic, but I saw the fracture. Skipped practices, weight dropping, that fire dimming to embers. "They're right," he muttered one night, staring at the ceiling as rain lashed the windows. "I'm the kid who got your gear, your time. What if it's all I am?" Bullshit. I rolled to face him, the bed creaking under our weight. "You're the man who got my heart. The one who'd skate through hell for a breakaway." I kissed his temple, his scar, trailing fire down his neck until laughter bubbled up, chasing shadows. We made love then. Slow, reverent, bodies mapping familiar territories without the urgency of secrets. His gasps were poetry, my hands worship, reaffirming what words couldn't. "You are enough." December dawned dramatic. The city blanketed in white as if prepping for our storm. Ethan's steel holiday showcase loomed, scouts from juniors and colleges buzzing like flies. He trained ferocious, my old gear now his talisman. But tension simmered. Vargas's final report flagged emotional dependency, threatening custody holdovers. And Tommy, ever the blade, leaked a photo. Us at the bean cropped to look damning. The backlash crashed like a third-period collapse. Protests at the rink, signs screaming, "Protect our kids." League pulling my access, Ethan sidelined for a wellness check. He vanished again, this time to the old group home lot, where I found him under the same fence, shivering not from cold but sobs. "Dad's ghost did this," he choked as I wrapped him in my coat. The same parka, full circle, haunting us both. "No." I held him tight, snow melting on our lashes. "It's people scared of what they don't get. But we fight, Ethan." Like Marco wrote, "Through the scars." That night we went public on his terms. A joint post on the Steele's feed, photo of us at the boards, caption raw. "From donated gear to drafted dreams. Coach Harlan's more than a mentor, he's family." Love wins on ice, LGBTQ. The world split, hate mail flooded, but allies amplified. Foudy retweeting, a pride fund starting GoFundMe for his legal. Climax brewed in the showcase's shadow, a confrontation I dreaded. Tommy cornered me post-practice, cigar smoke curling like accusations in the lot. "You're ruining him, El. Like you ruined Marco." The words ignited. I swung. Not hard, but enough to stagger him. "You profited off my crash, his death. Stay the fuck away." Cops called, charges threatened, but Ethan mediated, his arm around me as flashbulbs popped. "He's family," he told them, voice steel. "And family's messy." The fallout? Suspended, but not fired. Public pressure flipped the script. Headlines shifting to "Hockey's Heartbreak Hero." Ethan skated anyway, a rogue exhibition, scoring under lights with scouts watching, proving his worth beyond whispers. As confetti fell, he pulled me onto the ice, blades slipping in our socks, and kissed me deep, public, proud. The crowds roar our vow. Betrayal beaten, not by fists, but forgiveness. New Year blurred into a haze of hearings and healing, the city shedding its skin like a snake after molt. My suspension lifted mid-January, but the rink felt foreign. Eyes following, whispers trailing like exhaust. Ethan thrived, though, drafted to the USHL's Muskegon Lumberjacks on a full ride, scouts citing resilience in reports that read like love letters. "You're doing," he teased over FaceTime from his dorm, face lit by desk lamp, posters of Gretzky and me flanking his bed. "Ours?" I corrected, the apartment lonelier without his clutter, but pride swelling like a crowd wave. We navigated long-distance clumsy. Care packages of Chicago socks and mixtapes, weekends where I'd fly up for games, blending into the bleachers till post-whistle, when he dragged me to dive bars for wings and what-ifs. But romance in the rear view breeds complacency, and conflict simmered subtle. Letters from Marco's estate surfaced. Unclaimed royalties, a trust he'd socked away pre-crash, enough to buy Ethan out of debt, but tangled in probate drama. "Take it?" he asked during a layover call, voice edged with the old defiance. "Or burn it, like the ghost it is?" "Take it," I urged, ever the pragmatist. "Build on it. For you." But doubt gnawed. Was I pushing stability, or erasing the struggle that forged him? Our calls shortened, silences lengthening like shadows at dusk. February's all-star break brought him home, train rumbling in under sleet. I met him at Union Station, the Great Hall's dome echoing our steps as we collided, hug fierce, kiss stolen in the throng. Missed this, he breathed, duffel thumping down. Over deep dish at Giordano's, steam rising like confessions, he unpacked the real rift. Vargas called, says the trust's a blood money play, that I'm chasing daddy's redemption through you. His fork-stabbed crust, eyes stormy. Am I? The question gutted, echoing my own fears. No, but maybe I am. Honesty again, that double-edged blade. Coaching you, loving you, it's absolution for Marco, for the hit I couldn't dodge. What if I'm using you to fix me? He recoiled, hurt flashing. Then we're even. I chased you for gear, for a dad in skates. But it's more now, isn't it? We left it hanging. The meal ashes, retreating to my place where tension crackled like static. That night, we made it physical, bodies urgent, reclaiming what words wounded. But dawn brought awkward sheets and averted eyes. He left for the airport early, a note on the pillow, fix us, or let go. The betrayal stung deepest. Not Marco's legacy, but our own. The way love twists into mirrors of past pains. I dove into therapy, league-mandated but real, unpacking the crash not as villainy but shared fracture. Sessions in a loop office, rain pattering windows, me spilling about the glance Marco and I shared post-practice. The unspoken pull we'd both ignored for the game. Meanwhile, Ethan shone in Muskegon. Hat tricks. Interviews where he'd credit a Chicago coach who taught me heart. But off ice, cracks showed. A bar scrap with a teammate over slurs. A missed check-in that had me pacing till 3 a.m. When he called, slurred and sorry, just needed to feel something. I heard the echo of Marco's bottle, and it terrified. Spring thaw brought the turning. NCAA tourney scouts eyeing him for college, but a knee twinge, echo of the fall, sidelined him for evals. Fate's a bitch, he joked over video, but his smile didn't reach. I flew up unannounced, surprising him at practice, and after over pierogies at a Polish joint, laid it bare. I'm all in, Ethan. No ghosts, no fixes. Just us. Flaws, fights, the whole damn rink. I slid a key across the table to a sublet near campus. Not forever, but enough to build. Tears welled, but he pocketed it, pulling me into the alley for a kiss that sealed it. Romantic, raw, rain-slick and renewed. Together, he vowed. Yet climax loomed, dramatic as a shootout. April's draft lottery, Ethan's name floated mid-round, but a rival scout, Tommy's plant, leaked instability concerns, citing our story as distraction. Offers dried, panic set in. He spiraled, skipping drills, the trust money burning a hole as temptation. I drove up, finding him at the lakefront, skipping stones into Superior's gray. Can't do this without you, he admitted, voice cracking. But if it's costing your peace. Bull. I turned him, hands cupping his face. We cost each other, that's love. But we gain more. The confession poured. My therapy breakthroughs. The letter I'd written to Marco's grave. Forgiving the hit, the man, myself. He broke then, sobs wrenching, and we held each other as gulls wheeled overhead, the water lapping like applause. Betrayal transmuted, not ended, but alchemized into strength. Draft night in a hotel bar with grainy TV feed, his name flashed. Chicago Fire, USHL expansion. We cheered, strangers toasting the prodigy son. But our eyes met over foam. We'd won the real prize. Summer sealed it, him subletting in Wrigleyville, mornings of coffee and crosswords. Evening skating pickup where I'd check him light, laughing. Romance deepened humanistic. Volunteering at youth clinics. Sharing stories of Marco not as tragedy, but teacher. He'd love this? Ethan said one night, tracing my ring finger. Future tense, unspoken. But Chicago's winds whisper change, and with fall, new conflicts. Pro scouts circling, my coaching offer from the fire. Together? He asked, blades crossed on the pond. Always. Autumn leaves carpeted Grant Park like confetti from a parade we'd yet to march. And with Ethan's fire contract, entry-level but golden, the city felt reborn, our love its quiet architect. We moved into a Logan Square walk-up, creaky floors and clawfoot tub, a far cry from group homes and one-bedrooms. But ours. Walls hung with framed clippings, Marco's stick over the mantel like a scepter of peace. Mornings, I'd wake to his whistle in the shower, joining him under steam for kisses that started playful, ended profound, bodies knowing each other like well-worn blades. Yet drama's DNA runs deep in bloodlines like ours, and conflict crested subtle, insidious. Pro-life ramped. Ethan's schedule a blur of camps and conditionals. My assistant coach gig demanding dawn drills. We stole time. Picnics at the Bean where he'd doodle plays on my palm, but fatigue frayed edges. A missed anniversary dinner. He stuck in traffic from O'Hare. Sparked the first real row, words flying like errant pucks. You're always gone, he snapped, slamming cabinets in our kitchenette. Takeout cooling untouched. And you're always waiting. I shot back, regret instant but pride glue. It escalated, old wounds reopening. His fear of abandonment, my terror of inadequacy. What if I'm holding you back? The golden boy, chained to a has-been. He stilled, eyes blazing. You're my has-been. The one who donated more than gear, you gave me sight. But the door clicked shut behind him, and he crashed at a teammate's, silence deafening as an empty arena. Betrayal's cruelest cut. Self-inflicted, the doubt we'd thought slain rearing like a bad bounce. I spent the night pacing, unearthing boxes of old tapes. Marco and me in juniors, roughhousing with glances that lingered, a bromance edged with unspoken. Was that the real ghost? Not hate, but unlived love, projected onto Ethan? Reconciliation brewed in crisis. Mid-November, during a brutal roadie to Boston, Ethan took a high stick, visor shattered, blood sheeting his face. Bench video went viral, him skating off, pointing skyward to Marco, then groundward to me. For the men who made me, the caption read. But in the ER, stitches fresh, he called, Alex, get here. Can't without you. I chartered a flight, landing in a blizzard that grounded everything but my resolve. Hotel room vigil, holding his hand through the haze, I confessed the tapes, the what-ifs. Marco was a door I never opened. You're the one I walk through. He squeezed, weak but warm. Then walk. With me. Climax unfolded at the Winter Classic. Wrigley's Frozen Glory. Fire versus rivals under New Year's lights. Ethan, cleared but tentative, drew anchor on the fourth line. I coached from the box, heart in cleats, as the game nodded at 2-2 in the third. Breakaway, him decking the D, wrist snapping true. But the goalie snagged it, sprawling save sending him crashing into the net, knee buckling. The whistle pierced, medics swarming, and I vaulted glass, dropping beside him on the ice. Wrigley muddied by slush, crowd hushed. Ethan breathed, his face twisted, but eyes met mine. Not fear, but fire. It's just a tweak, he gasped, gripping my jersey. Finish it. For us. I nodded, throat burning, as they stretchered him. Protocol, not defeat. Back on the bench, fury fueled me. Line changes sharp, calls barked. With 1:30 left, a scrum in front. Puck loose and our winger jammed it home. 3-2. Final buzzer. Roar seismic, confetti swirling like our first snow. Post-game. In the tunnel's roar, Ethan waited, crutches braced, grin splitting stitches. We won. Then, pulling me close amid flashes. Marry me, Alex. Here now, make it forever. The proposal hung, raw and romantic, cameras catching the gasp I couldn't hide. No ring, just his hand in mine, the weight of legacies lifting. Yes, I choked, kissing him deep, the world watching, but ours alone. The ending? Humanistic, not Hollywood. Wedding small, June in a lakeside chapel. Vows exchanged over Lake Michigan's sparkle. Marco's letter read aloud by Ethan, tears mingling with laughter. No cup yet, but a life. Him rising through minors, me head coach by 30. Us adopting a stray mutt named Puck, mentoring kids in pills and rinks. Years on, gray threading our hair, We watch from the stands. His cup lift in 35. My whistle retired but heart full. Betrayal's scars fade to stories, told over beers to wide-eyed rookies. Love's the hardest hit, but the best save. In Chicago's endless winter, we found our thaw. And it was enough.